clapped them in that final, but it's a very different meta now. And Peanut, that man in the jungle, it's not going to be Cuz this time, and Peanut, 100% win rate while he's on the team this season. See whether that's going to continue.
Can't argue with the numbers, 4-0 and more in sync. Both his laners talking in the interview ad nauseum about really giving Peanut credit, specifically Khan. Talking about that, and it seemed like Peanut was out of sync with his laners back at MSI. So is it a new dawn for this beloved roster of Kingzone? Big anniversary today, 6th anniversary of the debut of Prey. Would have been in summer 2012 he made his debut. We lost one of our OGs in Mad Life yesterday. We have to celebrate the history of Korean League of Legends. Right now, it is Prey's big day, so congratulations to him.
Yeah, and we've got so many big names and big legacies on both of these teams as well, with Peanut, also Spirit on the other side in the jungle role as well, as we bring up the Afreeca Freecs. And you might be asking which roster they're going to be running. They've been experimenting just a little bit, haven't seen Mowgli just yet, and we're not going to see him again today, as it will be Spirit back in the jungle, and it's going to be aiming in that AD carry position. So no Kramer this time, and this has been their most successful roster so far, and they've been successful with pretty much everything.
And with AD for Afreeca, we're talking awesome dudes. We're not talking attack damage, because even with Kramer in the lineup, we have seen very little in the way of marksman.
In fact, zero.
To play none. No marksman, not going anywhere near them. Mordekaiser, Yasuo, 2 victories each for aiming. Vladimir, his other pick. Aiming has looked good, but not necessarily needs to be a big carry. We know this guy can AD carry. But Prey moving back to the Ezreal is a big thing for Kingzone. Their last series against KT. I wonder if Ezreal will be considered a ban, because they could just do the Genji thing. Take that Tahm Kench Ezreal on blue side, which is where Kingzone started.
Yeah, and in fact, MVP played the Kalista yesterday, and that was Aiming's one of his pocket picks last season as well. Didn't see a whole lot of Aiming last season, but exciting to see other marksmen make their way back in. But let's have a look. Last 5 matches, of course, the Genji loss for Kingzone was a worrying one, but they have pulled it back since then.
And the Afreeca win-loss record here looks a bit like one of my Tetris games, unfortunately. How am I going to get that T-spin double here? I don't know.
Yep,
but,
it's going to be a tough one.
A lot of wins, only the single loss against KT. And look, to add credence to your point of view, if you compare performances against KT, Kingzone was better.
Yep. Are you starting to get that feeling in your waters yet, Papa?
No, I am not.
Not yet? All right. Well, I believe in it. I believe in it. Just one of those feelings, though. You never know what's going to happen. And this graph definitely does not support my claim.
Doesn't
whatsoever.
Well, it doesn't in terms of AD carries, because aiming is 5 times the player the Prey is, according to this
Apparently,
graph.
yeah.
You look at the overall KDAs of Afreeca, because of some of the lower KDAs. At 6.6, only enough for 3rd overall KDA.
Yeah.
I guess Griffin is right up the top there, given that Chovy just cannot die when he's playing good old Zoe. 4 games, no deaths on that one. We see much Zoe today, because the priority been a bit lower from our mid laners. A lot of featured matchups here. Korean national team top laner versus Khan is a big one. Keen and Khan, old foes that Khan has had the lead on more often than not. And speaking of leads, when it comes down to the crunch, it's all been about Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah, but this is a very different story. Of course, the final, the 3-1, where Kingzone were rolling over the top of the Afreeca Freecs. It's not the same patch. It's not the same situation here.
Same team?
Yeah, it's not the same team. So we'll see whether the Afreeca Freecs can rewrite history here starting in summer 2018 with this matchup against Kingzone DragonX. Because, yeah, I feel like the 13-6, yes, there's a lot of the same players. Yes, there's a lot of the same situations here, but it's not the same patch. It's a very different Afreeca Freecs that we're seeing Kingzone come up against this time.
Looking at some of our key players, and why not Kuro, who we saw actually talking to his old teammate Gorilla before the match started. Having a bit of a good time there it is. Kuro against 3 of his former 2016 Rocks Tiger teammates. Smeb's also in the building today, so we might see a group shot. I'm sure some of our photographers are going to try and make that happen after Game 1 ends. Kuro has had a great season, and he's had the best counter picks to the current meta. He's played 7 unique champions in their 6-1 record, and Vel'Koz, Swain, and Anivia, with a lot of these bruises and long team fights happening, have found him a lot of success in particular.
Yeah, Lysandra actually fits into that wheelhouse as well, given her lower ranges and lots of AoE that can lock people down as well. So I do like what Kuro has been doing, of course leading on damage as well for him. And Khan On the side of Kingzone, DragonX, 33% on average of his team's damage. This guy has been carrying.
And with Smeb struggling recently, easy to say these are the two best top laners in Korea. Keen went over, represented Korea, and a lot of people ask, where's Khan? Khan has been up and down. MSI, not a great moment for him, but he found a tank, not that damn Ornn. He's all about the Mundo, going where he pleases. The numbers are strong, but Keen has definitely passed the eye test in summer.
Oh, yeah.
He has been wonderful as well. As what do the fans make of these two strong teams?
This is actually going to be very close, I feel. So we'll have to see where the fans actually believe these two teams lie. It is going to be slightly in favor of Kingzone, but as predicted, it's relatively close.
57-43 is kind of where you have to be at. So many things could happen. The meta is still in flux. Seems like Afreeca has some more ideas, but Kingzone finally seem to have their handle on the meta based on that victory over KT. What does it mean when two of the best teams in the world meet each other? We're about to find out. There's Zephyr, drafting coach of Afreeca Freecs. He's in the booth. Let's get into this one.
Yeah, and I think that is a massively important thing to bring up, Papa, because if the Afreeca Freecs are going to win, a lot of the time it starts here because Zephyr is amazing. Swain going to be the first ban here on the side of Kingzone.
And that's a very smart ban. It has been a big pick this week as teams have now realized that Swain versus Melee Bruisers sounds like a recipe for success, and we don't want to have that one be there. Can lane against most things, and because we know that Afreeca Freecs don't play the Marksman recently, and Kingzone well aware of that, we wondered about the Ezreal ban. It's not against Gen G, but it is a welcome one when Prey is in the game.
Yeah, and Lucian as well has been another one that Prey has been successful on. He has been dipping back into the marksman, much like Ruler has as well. Of course, we saw him yesterday dismantling people with his Ezreal. Looked like a funnel strategy, but it was just him funneling it into himself. As Lulu, the most popular first pick that we've had so far, especially yesterday, is going to be banned away.
But a lot of stuff is going to be open. Consider what is being banned here. It's first Ezreal ban we've seen in the season. The Swain ban is coming first. A lot is open in multiple roles. Remember, guys, Taliyah, because of the bugs, cannot take Smite. So Taliyah priority in most series has been very low. We saw Hanwha Life Esports curiously still banning it. And we do have BDD in the game, who is one of the greatest Taliyahs that walk around. I really like this Yasuo ban, because when you mentioned Lucian, I think Yasuo does pretty well into Lucian. And Yasuo is also a big favorite of aiming, and Kuro on the side of Afreeca, the first to play it in the spring season. There's so many pocket bans here. There's going to be a bonanza of picks. You know for sure the post-game thread already says, well, how did they get those champions on one side?
Well, they're not going to waste any time. The Zoe's going to be insta-locked by BDD.
If the final ban was Shen, I think you first pick Nocturne, but with Nocturne banned, Zoe is pretty free when it comes to engage champions in the meta that can shut her down. You can consider an Ornn at some point, but Keen will usually want to be moving towards the carries.
Well, Master Yi and Taric are both available here as well, Papa, so we'll see whether Kingzone want to move somewhere like that. It might be the Zoe support. They could potentially do it, but Camille was left up, and Afreeca going to take a pretty comfortable jungler here for Spirit.
It didn't seem like Afreeca were going to play it just based on how the team has been going, and you're right, Kingzone on blue side first picked Lulu, then went into it, but with Lulu banned, the reliability of the Mata strategy, the Master Yi and Taric strategy is a little lower. They will take Shen as a power pick, could be a support pick in the bot lane, could be in the top side if something like a Jace comes out on the side of Kingzone. That's always a possibility. That's not Jace, that's Mundo.
That is Mundo, and that has been an incredibly successful champion here for Khan. He's only 66% win rate on the champion at the moment, but when he does make it past that early game, he's impossible to kill and wins games by himself.
And you can kind of see what's going to come. So because Zoe struggles against Mundo, and we've seen Khan so good on the Mundo, they're blinding Mundo, they feel good about that. You see Tahm Kench and you think, isn't an Ashe going to be on this lineup? The answer is probably yes, if available in the second round. Might be considered a ban. Will we see the Aatrox have tended to split into the Mundo? Oop. Answer is no.
No, not going to happen. I actually got a little bit overexcited and wrote down the pick very, very early on because it felt like a bit of a no-brainer. But no, the Jax is going to come in instead. Keen's going to be taking that most likely into Peanut, but you never know. Camille could be switched around. We could have anyone anywhere, to be honest, on that top side of the map.
Two champions that do well against Master Yi Taric, which could actually still be flexed around the Kingzone side. Unlikely. I think we're going to go through the draft and not see it here, but do have good CC, good fighters, and the potential to split if Mundo falls behind.
Have you seen a a Zoe Tom Kench lane before? Has
Sounds
that worked?
amazing to me.
Sounds pretty good. I reckon Prade's probably practiced
Max
a lot
that W,
of 80,
get in there with the
80
sheen,
carry
yeah.
Tom Kench. I reckon it'd be definitely Gorilla on the Zoe if we were going to do it. But the Mordekaiser and the LeBlancs have both been banned away, and banning that LeBlanc makes a lot of sense. You've been talking about this a lot, the fact that she does do incredibly well into the Zoe.
And while Afreeca have chosen stuff that does well into the Zoe, they haven't actually chosen a mid lane matchup. So I follow your lead there, Atlas. The LeBlanc to attack in the lane's a big one. BD himself played the Echo, but we've seen very little Echo recently, so unlikely to be seen. Could just take something like the Vel'Koz and try to poke against the Zoe, but then you might just get popped. So I'm excited to see what Kuro decides in the mid lane. Final ban here from Kingzone. It will be another coverage ban for mid lane. Will be the Irelia.
Yep, Irelia going to be taken away, but that Anivia is still available here for Kuro if he wants to pick that one up. Has been very strong, but when you're looking down the barrel of a potential Ashe pick, maybe not as important as Talia going to be taken for Kuro in the mid lane.
Kingzone was basically screaming, we're going to play a Zoe and a marksman. So at the end of the day, the value of the Anivia is lower. This is a duo they played as well. The Kalista came out yesterday. They played it at MSI as well. Will they go in for the Kalista to try to win against a Bruiser lane? Seeming like the answer might be yes here, but no, they're going to be the change. They see Bruisers, they want a bit more of laning safety, so we prey on the Varus instead.
Yeah, so no Ashe, but certainly in the same vein as Varus is going to be locked away. But now, what does Peanut play? Xin Zhao, certainly an option. 15 seconds to go, though, so has some time to think about what his jungle pick is going to be.
It's be a risky one. On the invade could work, but on the defense could definitely be picked off. And Talia Camille is a very strong 2v2. So he's going to go for something that works a lot safer and has a little bit less impetus on ganking the Trundle. I think this was probably the right move. You look at Talia Camille and you're like, well, opting into this could definitely go poorly. So a lot more respect shown by Peanut at the end. Final pick here for Afreeca, probably bot lane related.
So where it is going to go, of course, aiming has been mostly towards these Bruisers on the bottom side. Darius is available if he wants to do that, but Kai'Sa also left open, and that's going to be the pickup here.
Probably going to be the AD carry, Kai'Sa, you'd have to think. The final strategy can't happen here because they don't have the same facilitators that we saw from Hanwha Life Esports yesterday. We have not seen much Kai'Sa because of her struggles against both Bruisers and her slow ramp-up in damage after little nerfs over time. But probably going to be the duo lane. Doesn't look like any shenanigans. Spirit has played a lot of jungle Kai'Sa, but I don't think that's going to come out in this particular game.
I mean, they could theoretically still switch it and have the bottom lane Camille somehow, but nope, not going to be the case as Aiming plays his first 80 carry of the season.
Pretty standard stuff in the end from Kingzone. So the draft that Afreeca could definitely snowball onto if Zoe or Varus fall behind. There are ways to get in there. I imagine we're going to see jungle attention topside to hold down the Mundo as well. Always a big consideration with how much Mundo we've seen, and Khan popping off on the Mundo against KT earlier this week. By far the most standard draft from Afreeca. I've been bigging up Aiming as the better laning AD carry of their options between him and Kramer. However, they haven't been playing the sort of champions where that's been a relevant metric. Now he's back on a marksman, first marksman of the season for Afreeca.
And Aiming has looked like one of the best players to transition into the untraditional bottom lane champions as well. So now back on traditional, does this mean it's a bit of a nerf for the Afreeca Freecs? One thing I do love is the fact that they've taken the Kai'Sa from Kingzone when they lost to it almost every single game in the final.
And a good news, of course, Kai'Sa in the late game. Get enough stacks of your passive. Even if you go the AP build, you can kill a Mundo, which can be very helpful as well, as it sounds like we're going to be going into pause, even though the music is quite exciting.
Yeah, I'm not going to get baited just yet, as the music says, oh no, I wasn't ready yet.
It sounded like I shouted down the music.
Yeah, kind of.
Calm down.
I also feel like the music may have just like opened the door and then went, oh, it's not time yet, and then just closed the door.
We've been told there's an audio issue, which could be the fact that the music went down. I guess that's not clear.
Yeah. There's a howling sensation, apparently, according to Joel.
That's not a very nice way to describe your voice.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, I also don't think that our voice should be pumped into the players' ears, even if they don't necessarily understand English all that well.
Most of Kingzone are definitely able to
decipher.
I
feel like it's cheating. And I mean, we know Kuro can certainly understand on the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
That's true.
I don't know about the other players.
As well.
Tucson as well,
The other one's a bit struggling. Keen definitely does not have the English proficiency just yet. something to work on because his top lane proficiency is just fine.
Yeah, but do you need to be able to speak English to play top lane in Korea? I don't think so.
That's true.
Yeah,
probably not.
He's going to be okay. We have resolved the issue, guys, and we will be moving into game number 1. Kingzone versus the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah.
So the music comes back. Welcome back, music, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift for game number 1. Well, the lead call for Afreeca certainly had her Wheaties this morning, because that was a full lung of air thrown into the call. No shenanigans early on in this game so far.
Plenty of time for that.
Plenty of time for shenanigans.
Really excited to see this. We were actually talking to the players beforehand, as we mentioned that Gorilla and Kuro were hanging out a couple of hours before the games kicked off, and they asked me what my expectation was, and I thought Afreeca were favored because they played the Banner Bruiser bot lane duo so well.
BBB.
Yeah, a lot of Bs there. But the ability for them to master a lot of these duo lanes that other teams struggled with, but also have Banner to allow for a push without a marksman was kind of the notable thing for them. They're very good at drafting. The draft isn't poor here, but it's a different look from Afreeca. So already, when it comes to identity, you'd say advantage Kingzone because they're playing a bit more to the norm of what they did earlier this week.
A bit more to the norm of just the Kingzone strategy of old as well, with having a very self-sufficient bottom lane in the Tahm Kench and the Varus. They will be able to play safely as well. The Tahm Devour going to be very helpful for the less mobile AD carry in the Varus. And it means they can play towards the top side, which I think is very necessary this game. Could you imagine the level 2 gank coming down from Camille into a Jax lane against a Mundo level 2? Boy, that doesn't sound fun.
A lot of lockdown. I don't know if they have the damage to kill him, but obviously early is when you'd prefer to target the Mundo. You are joining us just for the game, or if you're on the VOD, hello to you guys. And just to let you guys know, this is the historical, and the most historical important point is this is a rematch of the LCK Spring Final. That was 3-1, and if there was one champion Afreeca fans were screaming to be picked away or banned, it was the Kai'Sa, which you do notice was picked up by Afreeca.
So thankfully, they are able to at least deny that one. It wasn't picked by Kingzone, and they last picked it, so they didn't necessarily have to, but it's good to know that they have found the Kai'Sa button, at least in one way.
And you do notice that Trundle sees either Kuro or Spirit, and like we mentioned in Champ Select, the 2v2 is insane in the early levels. So skirmishing around Taliyah and the Camille is not advised for Peanut. He pulled back from picking the Xinjiao, which would be the aggressive choice. Was left open. Went for the Trundle. He knows he has to be respectful. What about the Smite battle?
Well, it is going to be taken by Spirit. Now Peanut completely out of health and mana. Hasn't flashed just yet, and Spirit not going to go too far. Didn't have the red buff to slow him down either. So still a disaster for Peanut, but at least he didn't die.
That's what happens in dog matchups. We saw them yesterday when Yondu was picking the Sejuani in difficult matchups. You have to give camps up. He had actually leashed it almost perfectly to be out of vision range. But popped around the corner, no smites for either player. Nice pick up for Spirit, and all Trundle can do is slowly try to clear his jungle and hope his lanes play respectfully to the Camille, Taliyah, and friends.
And also hope that the jungle actually remains there as well. As you can see, it's Wolf Camp being taken at the moment from Spirit. Spirit all over this map right now, and he'll be able to go to his topside jungle pretty easily, as he knows exactly where Peanut is. Even that little puppy is denied.
Look at that experience bar. You hate to see it. He actually lapped a little bit from mid lane as Zoe was clearing creeps and got an extra bit that he desperately needed, 1.5 levels behind. And we know that Snowball experience has not been looked at all on patch 8.11. 8.11, Arthas and Taliyah cannot pick up Smite. All champions enabled. If you're joining us, LCS should be moving over to 8.12, but 8.11 until our match week ends, I would imagine, on Sunday this week.
Yeah, and then we get to see what the Afreeca Freecs. I'm actually very excited to see what the drafting is going to do after the banner has been removed for the Afreeca Freecs, because like you say, they have been relying on it quite a lot. We'll probably see a few of them this game as well.
And of course we can't know if they've been relying on it or abusing it. It's kind of
I feel like
duality, right?
Abuse would make sense to me, because I don't think that they're ever in in worries at the moment with Zephyr at the helm as far as drafting is concerned. They're never worried about having strategies up their sleeves.
You also have players like Aiming and Kuro who've been, you know, redefining their champion pool. It's only the second time that Kuro is... Actually, it is another unique pick, so it is his 8th unique pick of the season.
Well, Spirit actually doesn't have the hook shot now. It's in goes BDD, flashes on over, and first blood goes to Peanut. This is so important for Kingzone.
That's a big turn. You see Peanut, a little chuckle there, knowing that Spirit went too far. Spirit trying to counter jungle him, trying to battle ward the battle ward. How rude is that, Atlas?
Yeah.
He's taken down. Big assist from BDD. He used a real flash to make it happen. Nice stuff, Kingzone.
And the aggression continues as well. Kingzone knowing that Spirit is off the map for a little while, still making his way out of base. They can abuse this bottom lane. And what were you talking about with the funnel strategy yesterday? The Kaiser from Hanwha Life Esports, they avoid the laning phase by using that strategy, and Aiming not going to be able to do that here. So we'll see whether Kingzone can abuse what could be a stronger lane down here on the bottom side for Kingzone, despite the fact that they probably won't have jungle help.
That's why we've seen so little Kaiser this season, is after all the incremental nerfs. As the game gets faster,
wow,
Kaiser can only be a powerhouse if she has levels, items, and all the CC immunity and shields that were available when you're funneling into her. When she's just farming a duo lane, the levels aren't there. She doesn't have a Lulu, she doesn't have a Morgana in this game. In terms of 2v2 trades, she loses very heavily to the Varus. Has so many more options and extra range. So yes, there is a late game fantasy for Aiming in the Afreeca Freecs, but the late game of 35 minutes very rarely comes.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. And look at Prey, he's gone Bilgewater Cutlass. So a little bit of a different build option here for the Varus. We have, whenever we saw it sparingly, it had still been the Rage Blade, but no, Prey's going to change that one up. Still might be able to pick it here, but Blade of the Ruined King has just gotten a lot better now that it's a bit cheaper.
And also, consider you know the enemy will be going Rage Blade, because otherwise Kaiser's power is pretty low. You need to be able to double proc the passive and actually abuse it. If you go Blade, those trades that he was winning are now disgusting wins, because you can lifesteal off the minion wave, and Kaiser has no lifesteal at all.
Yeah, and they just want to keep fighting down here as well. It's double melee support, and Gorilla is on the Tahm Kench. Fantastic into melees.
Really like Prey. Playing around with builds, he's always been famous for this. He doesn't stick with one build, he innovates in builds. The first person to go Essence Reaver Ashe way back when the item was first reworked. I know that's confusing as it's been recently reworked, but he's always building for the situation. Right now, Aiming is hating his life. Kaiser?
Yeah, and the thing is as well is there's a lane pushing towards Kingzone as well, so they're going to have even more control. Actually, no, they are going to just clear it out. Shoving it in, continuing to have that pressure.
Risk of the Taliyah pick is that Taliyah doesn't do particularly well against Zoe, especially now that Zoe probably has more wave clear than Taliyah. What a weird thing to say.
I know, it's confusing.
After the changes, unless you get blue buff leads, Taliyah actually does labor a bit on the minion wave, and Zoe has a bit more push. But because that's gone, she kind of heavily out-trades the Taliyah. So Spirit and Kuro need to be on the front foot. Spirit licking his palms a bit after, and licking his wounds also after losing out earlier. Kuro, speaking of, would really like some extra regen. The big takeaway should be, right now they can't play aggressively, Taliyah and the Camille, and if they're playing defensively, they've got problems like this.
Yeah, Aiming in a whole host of trouble. Does have the shield, but that's going to be Stand United now on cooldown, and heal on cooldown as well for the Kaiser.
And man, one collapse turns a game where Camille had trivialized Trundle to a huge degree into 2 winning lanes for Kingzone, a farming lane top, and we don't even see Spirit getting any value out of the big lead that Camille had. The game has turned so much, and that's why investing both summoners from BDD was exactly the right move.
Yeah. BDD wasted no time as well. There was no time to really think about whether he wanted to do that. He wanted to do it no matter what, but it paid off so beautifully. For that first blood is only going to mean 300 gold the lead for Kingzone, but like you say, weathering that Camille storm was the real payoff here at this moment.
And it's the sort of game that you need to watch rather than just judge based on the
post-game.
You
can't look at the money and stuff
look, a
like
lot
that.
of post-games, every caster around the world can't watch every league live or every single full VOD, so you kind of skim over. And it's the sort of game where right now you skim over and you're like, well, lost a draft, or what were they thinking with those 2 losing lanes, mid and bot?
Yeah.
The thought was, we've got Camille Taliyah. They cannot beat that in a 2v2. Peanut goes into a dog matchup, into the Trundle, who cannot skirmish and win skirmishes with the Zoe against Camille Taliyah. Goes down 2 levels. It's only when you saw that turnaround, Atlas, the play around the Raptors where Spirit went too far, that things actually evened out. Because if that never happened, this sort of play in the lanes would not be possible for Kingzone.
Yeah. As you saw on the top side of the map, Keen actually asserting his dominance against Khan. Does have the teleport advantage, does the Mundo, and is going to teleport all the way back to this lane right now. Has his Barmy Cinder, and thankfully the Ninja Tabi to help keep him alive. Little cute stopwatch there. He managed to get from the perfect timing. Thankfully the Afreeca Freecs here on the bottom side of the map at least able to farm. 20 CS though is going to be the lead for Prey. We know his laning proficiency on the Varus.
Anyway, it's always been such a frustrating spot for Keen. Can't look for aggressive trades. He's done a couple, but Khan can hold the minion wave here. He's in ecstasy, no chance of being dived. At this point, control around the mid side has been wrestled back for BDD and Peanut. Not to a big degree, so double control ward to try to threaten the Taliyah roam, but that's not happening. It's a melee support from Gorilla for close to the first time this season. He's played 3 games of Lulu, he's played 2 games of Soraka, he's played some Shen and Alistar, but certainly hasn't been the melee support only player he was last season. Even if that Taliyah comes, they have a bit of safety. How are Afreeca going to find a foothold back in this game? They need a winning lane to buy the Kai'Sa time.
Yeah, and what is going to be the next Kingzone move as well to try and put these screws in. Boosin is going to land a decent taunt, but only getting one of the bot laners, something that we learnt about yesterday with Ruler and Core JJ playing so safely around that Devour.
Now, if Taliyah was already halfway on the roam, just getting the Devour out might have been enough for a Weaver's Wall play, but Taliyah is caught in mid lane. The Devour will be off cooldown for a fight. Speaking of fights!
Yep, there's the taunt. It is going to land, and Hextech Ultimatum comes in. That's going to seal the deal on the Trundle, and Gorilla can't get in there. Peanut. Oh, okay. See you later, Spirit. As Peanut is at least going to go down with his opposite number.
Well, we didn't see the setup there, but that looked like a one-shot. Didn't see the health bar on Spirit either.
Yep,
I guess they were
going to see it again.
Let's watch the replay and see what health Spirit is at after this. This is a kind of a Galio Camille ultimate situation.
Wow,
as their Spirit,
health.
he's at 1,000 health, and he dies.
Well, that was much more sparkles than I was expecting, Papa.
You know what the most disgusting thing about that was, Atlas?
What?
Look at the screen. He still has his Ignite.
Oh my god.
That was
did he just not press the button, or did he know that he was going to full health Spirit when he was level 9?
I don't think he knew. Maybe if BDD wins the MVP, we can ask. But yeah, that's you know, that happened.
Yep. Okay. Well, Ignite is down here on the bottom side though. Tucson taking a heck of a lot of damage. Does have his Stands United for a bit of an extra shield, and the exhaust is there, but now no flash. You can see Peanut is down here trying to put extra pressure on this bottom lane.
First time we're seeing Electrocute on Zoe in a long while. Usually it is Summoner Airy. So, okay, I'm becoming convinced.
Yeah, I think that's why he exploded. Well, a large reason why he exploded a little bit more than he otherwise would.
And now Afreeca are really, really in a rough spot. Predictably, when it's going to be the Varus in the bot lane, nothing Kai'Sa can do. Kai'Sa needed some help in other lanes, but Jack's getting a farm lane. Camille, unfortunately, had her life turned around against her, and in 2 plays against the Camille, BDD has really ratcheted up the tension for Afreeca and put the side of Kingzone in a very comfortable position.
And it's one of those things where we want to ask the question of what would have happened had that first blood not gone down as well. There is so much to talk about based on the fact that Afreeca really did drop the ball in that one moment, and otherwise things could have been so different. Still, able to get a kill back. They lose the outer turret on the bottom side of the map. Now, where does Kingzone go? They do lose the Rift Herald. There's the flash from Gorilla. Wants to actually take down Spirit as Abyssal Voyage. He's going to get him over. Thankfully, there is the Blast Cone, and Spirit gets to safety. I guess Spirit stole Gorilla's lunch money because he really wanted to get on top of him, even without someone there. Maybe it was part of your conversation with Kuro. Maybe he overheard it.
That's true. He was in the makeup room adjacent.
See?
But,
he's like, whoa. Parker actually thinks that we're going to lose?
You know, I have to make predictions one way or the other. That's just how it goes.
I know, but it's going to disappoint someone.
Well, so far Kingzone have played very well, and as the observer is showing us,
towers are healthy.
Oh yeah. This one has not even taken a spec. Not even a ranged minion has thrown in a cheeky order.
Yeah.
And that is what happens when you take Kai'Sa last pick and you have a Shen support, and your other lanes didn't do so well. Well,
red buff has been warded here, so at least Peanut's position for the Afreeca Freecs is known. But top lane is where Frey and Gorilla are going to go, continue this push vest, and this top outer turret is going to continue to have no damage taken off it. Sunfire Cape has been completed here for Khan, who's happy now moving around where he pleases, as he generally does. I don't quite know where Keen is, and the vision is still good for the Afreeca Freecs. It doesn't seem to matter.
Usually the team with the first turret will be able to fully force the enemy to rotate around their whims, but there is that pesky Rift Herald. Perhaps open Afreeca a defensive play from King's Zone and slow down what right now is them being pulled across the map. Big item lead for the Varus. He has Ninja Tabi and some daggers towards second item.
This is something that we don't really get to see a lot from the Afreeca Freecs, is them without tempo of the map. And what we need to know now is whether they can pull it back with intelligent play, because that's what we've been commending them for as they've been on their winning streak so far here in the LCK. Still, if they're able to turn this all around and pick up this victory, they are vying for that #1 position by themselves based on point score, getting to a +7 over the +6 that Gen G and Griffin have. Slight pause is going to come in here. I wonder whether the, weird screaming sound has come back into their ears. Joel will be reporting back, and it is already... Oh, it's the howling one more time as Joel does just update us.
Well, at least it's not a game issue. We do have...
I think howling issue is a new one, though. When was the last time we had a howling issue? I don't think we've had one.
I don't think we've had... We certainly had audio issues. I think howling is the particular word choice by Joel. This might be the first time.
I know, it still says audio issue.
But Joel confirms the first time howling has been isolated as the problem. Joel's so involved this season.
He's so
My
involved.
favorite part of this season is when his disdain at the one-line summary the Korean
It is my absolute favorite. He was just in our ears, guys, confirming that it's awful. He does not have the greatest time, but we have the greatest time listening to it, so at least someone's happy, Joel. Oh, man. Okay, we are going to resolve it one more time, but the fact that it did crop back up means that maybe we'll see that one back again. Hopefully we've completely eradicated it now. We are back to the game.
Back to video games. Exactly what I want. The most Legos I can get.
Well, Papa, if there's anyone in the world at the moment getting as much Legos as they can possibly get from a caster desk, it is you.
And this has been Varus versus Kai'Sa. It didn't need too much induction. I made it clear that this is a good matchup for the Varus. And yeah, Kai'Sa's really wishing that the Camille was still counter-jungling every camp away from the Trundle, and that she could have a little bit less pressure on her side. Gonna have to be late game. If you want to know how they can come in, because you were talking about that just before the pause came through.
Yeah.
I think the best thing for Camille after the Rift Herald is put down, I'm not 100% sure where that's going to go, spot side now, is jungling around the jungling around the Kai'Sa and looking for a Killer Instinct play with the Hextech Ultimate. That worked on Trundle, that got them their one kill this game. If the Kai'Sa can build up her Rage Blade stacks on a minion wave, and then they can get a pick with the Hextech Ultimatum, there's still a lot of damage from the Kai'Sa, even though it is only one item and boots finished for Amy.
Well, some opportunities. You're right, it does look a little bit dire. Spray, this minion wave just going to be shoved into aiming. He's going to have to protect that outer turret. Thankfully, no autos from the Varus are going to put any pressure onto that outer turret there, and looks like Spirit is going to try and shut down Khan, but that is getting more and more difficult. Now level 12 for the Mundo, has a couple of items as well as a timepiece, and that briefcase seems to keep refilling itself as he throws it over and over at Keen.
Timepiece is frustrating because in stasis you do get the healing from the ultimate. That's the same as with the Swain, for example. Aware of what's happening. Clear coming bot side. Trundle's actually packed up to go top, so this could just end up being a turret trade.
And it looks like they will be able to get that damage onto the outer turret.
Tempo is good for Afreeca, though.
1-to-1, yeah. And this is what we were talking about. Can they get that tempo back around as Shelly's going to continue marching down the bottom side, and this will mean a potential 2-turret trade unless someone comes down there and helps out. Okay, she's going to set herself up again, and this is going to be a large chunk off this turret.
And they're also at least getting a lead somewhere. They're getting good vision in the bot side of control ward that will stick. They cannot do much in a 4v4 because they are outmatched 4v4 by the gold lead that King's have been able to open up, and the fact that Zoe is already at a very nice point of power, so kind of trade across the map. Good precision there, and good use of the Rift Herald by Afreeca.
And even global gold trades are always great for the team that is trying to get that that tempo back.
Also for the team that has the Kai'Sa, who needs the time and gold. It's one of these games, I talk about this quite a lot, that it's a sort of game where if Afreeca have 45,000 gold in their lineup, if you notice the top right of your screen is 29.5, but if another 15,000 gold is on their side and there's not a comical lead for the side of Kingzone, the game state will be a lot more healthy. Right now, with BDD working towards his Oblivion Orb, double magic penetration, that next Paddle Star going to be an impressive one. Right now, Kingzone completely set up for success. Afreeca Freecs trying to sustain through what is a good start by Kingzone.
And if BDD keeps picking up these Super Soakers in the mid lane, he most certainly is going to make...
Or Proto Belts. The Proto Belt worked pretty well for the last kill.
Yep. Dash Cannon. He just seems to have a lot of extra wave clear options, and like you were saying, making Talia look like she doesn't have as much wave clear as a Zoe, which, like you say, pretty hilarious.
Are you in tune with the water gun market? Do you know if Super Soaker is still the go-to?
Damn right, Super Soaker is the only one.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't doing
I think
outdated
Nerf,
reference.
I think Nerf has moved into the Super Soaker market,
really?
Which is, I think, cheating just a little bit because, you know, they already had a monopoly.
They already had a thing. Why
exactly.
do they need both
Why do they
things?
need all the things, man? Oh, capitalism.
Shareholders.
Oh man, I had a Super Soaker 2100 back in the day.
I feel like people in hot climates get this conversation. People in cold climates are like, would you want to put water on people? It's cold.
Shooting water at people is the best.
Well, shooting lots of rockets at people is Aiming's fantasy. He watched Sangyun and said, I want that, but they haven't given him the funnel, and that is a lot less reliable. Seems like he's going to go the AP build. The Stinger usually means Nashal's Tooth into ability power.
Generally pretty standard. Surprised he didn't go for the Doran's Ring start, which we've seen a lot of the time on the Kaisers as well. But just wanted to make sure he had as much safety as possible with the Doran Shield. And has weathered the storm. Of course, hasn't died just yet. Has that assist from helping out the early kill onto Peanut.
Mountain Drake. It's not an Inferno, but it's not necessarily good news for the Baron speed of Kingzone if you're an Afreeca fan. Beta Ruin King on the Varus. The Mundo can actually do some decent damage there. They have insane turn because Trundle Pillar plus Zoe usually means death. So
it's actually ridiculous the amount Prey is going to be able to add to that Baron damage with the two Mountain Drakes now on top, just based on the fact that he's Varus as well.
Second item, Rage Blade as well to the same advantages. Speaking of stacked up, that was full stacks on the Jax passive, and a turret taken. More gold into the game, 700 gold lead only, so they have managed to wrestle the game back in. If you ask me what it looks like when the two teams run each other 5v5, for once the Mundo comp isn't in an unassailable lead, I think definitely Kingzone has some good tools, and obviously the Zoe will want it to make an uneven fight rather than an even fight. And have a pause once again, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
Peanut, he actually just took off his headset. So.
Kaisa can kill Mundo. And that's not usually the case for the champions we're seeing against Mundo. One of the reasons Mundos look so disgusting in Korea is that we have the lowest pick rate of traditional marksmen, and not every marksman can kill a Mundo. Ezreal, for example, struggles, but Kaisa, with all her missing health damage, can be very, very powerful. We're getting an update that the audio issue seems to be the same, and once again is being hopefully very quickly fixed.
Yep, you can see Peanut looking under the table potentially for something that he may have dropped earlier on. But yeah, we are just going to remove the howling one more time. We're just going to switch out the headsets. And hopefully that will be it over and done with. As you can see, Peanut does find a new one. And we will be back into this game. Hopefully we are going to have the Trundle able to communicate with the rest of his team, which I believe is pretty necessary in a game like this. So it's understandable that we are going to slow this one down. But we will be moving back into this game as soon as this is resolved.
I know we're focused on Peanut's headset. I'd like to know if he still has that really crazy mouse that he uses, because he had mouse issues in the past. That was because he had the old Brood War mouse that a lot of Korean pro gamers...
one of those?
A G1, I think it was.
Yeah.
That
been
was
hearing about them breaking and
discussion.
people getting very, very upset because they don't make them anymore.
And that's the thing, is they've been discontinued for so long that you can't even just get incidentally on eBay or whatever the Korean equivalent is.
I follow a few StarCraft players, and they're like, it's just one after the other. They're just dropping like flies. I think it's just been that long that, you know, like after 5 years or something like that, they're just dead.
If Boxer didn't use it, why would I use it, you know?
Exactly. I personally don't care about the mouse. I just want Tusen's keyboard. Look at that thing. That's
Afreeca Freecs colors as well.
I know, right?
You know, if I think about it, I'm not sure if Roller's still using the Dignitas mousepad.
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to do some intrepid investigating to make sure.
The one that he got from Core JJ.
Yeah.
It's just
bros
adorable.
forever, man.
It's so good. Well, there was a massive bromance yesterday on the bottom side of the map at Tamkench Ezreal. Just love at first sight, obviously.
Speaking of bromance, Zoe and instant killing people. A romance for the ages.
Yep, BDD doing heaps of damage as well. Certainly seems like an iconic duo. So
BDD, big damage dealer.
Big damage dealer.
Yeah.
That's what the acronym stands for. Okay.
I think that's what Kobe was saying back at MSI.
Yeah, I've heard a different one, but I can't remember at the moment. Big, yeah, damage.
And you know, ADD plays tanks, so he'd be an average damage dealer.
Oh, he needs to be ADT. Average damage taker as well. Oh no, he could be a BDT. He's a big damage taker.
Are we still PG-13 over here? I'm not clear. I'm not clear with all these acronyms.
Taking damage is not that's not a mature audience only thing. Everyone takes damage in this game, Papa.
Well,
apart from maybe Khan if he gets to the ultra late game, but like you were saying, aiming will have tools.
We have hit the moment in the game where Kingzone would really like to fight, so they're probably going to start Baron because they have Rageblade, Blade the Ruin King, and Azek's Convergence for the I just now do the most damage on Varus.
Yeah, and also they've got 2 items on both of their solo laners as well. So as far as
the
hitting an item
timings.
This is some pretty Atlas special times.
However,
as National's Tooth does come in on the side of aiming, and Kuro does have his 2 items as well.
But the big difference is it's almost a Trinity Force.
Big difference, Daddy.
There's almost a Trinity Force versus a buff for the Varus, so if Varus isn't dying fast, you'd think the members of Afreeca were dying pretty fast.
Well, see whether Spirit can actually change that one. Remember, Hextech Ultimatum is very good at narrowing down a single target, and then Keen can jump on them and take them down. But it will require a teleport from the Jax to move towards this Baron pit. So Kingzone on the clock just a little bit before this Jax makes his way to the inner turret, but it will be the Mundo making his way down to answer.
And this is the way you play. You have double line skill shot engage and huge damage upgrade. There's the skill
bubble.
shots.
A lot of trouble as well, as Gorilla's going to be the one to finish it off. The Ignite was used, but didn't have to even use the Flash.
And I love them playing to their item timings. That's the time to start fishing with your Zoe and your Varus when you have all of the buffs ready to go. Shen dies for free, but that only buys you 15 seconds if Kuro dies.
Oh, BDD just short arms it a little bit. Doesn't matter. The Paddle Star is still going to land. And imagine if that was augmented by the damage buff of the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. That would have been approximately a bajillion more damage.
And that would have been a Baron. Kuro made a big mistake walking through that choke. There wasn't vision on it, but he didn't know there was exclusive vision. Either way, they're going to lose the mid lane turret. That could have been disaster for the side of Afreeca. The fact that Shen was the one to die, he has Stand United. He can get there pretty fast, so that was not going to be the crucial pick. Kuro lives, they lose a mid lane turret, but you know what the good thing is for Kingzone? Cooldown on the Varus ult is not long. The cooldown on the Trouble Bubble, I'm not even sure there is one. They can return and do it all again, and that is how Kingzone will play, because the next time, and if death timers get longer, it could be enough for them to pick up a Baron.
Yep. Minion Waves in decent positions for both teams as well. We're pretty neutral as Abyssal Voyage is going to come in. Another Trouble Bubble's going to land. It's BDD. I feel like this is a return to form for him on the Zoe. He's had some interesting performances so far. We know that he debuts seasons very, very well generally, but this has not been the same as spring season.
Kind of feels like we have a one game where the patch is reverted and it's full power on the Zoe. Because if you're telling me this is nerfed, I'm, you know.
Do it again, please.
Yeah, please. A couple more.
Chovy's also making us feel that way as well. There's a lot of fantastic Zoe players here. In fact, Kuro, he's one of the other undying players on the Zoe, although he's only played it once, much like every other champion.
This is why we can't give you stats. No play-by-play stats, please.
He's on 8 unique champions now.
You're getting to quick stats territory.
Well, it's the play-by-play statistics, man. That's how we do. Me and Trevor, we're just in sync. It's okay.
Kingzone are in sync. They know where they want to play all around the Baron, make it about the Baron forever and ever, force the Kai'Sa to give up minions if possible. Now, Killer Instinct does mean that she can pick up minions in mid most of the time, as that was close.
Yep. Every one of these Trouble Bubbles is very, very scary.
QSS probably going to have to come in because of the respect being shown to BDD, and that is another thing that will delay the build for the Kai'Sa, but she's getting there.
Yeah. And the Void Seeker having to be used to check the Baron pit as well as
she's
now
base.
We're charging up the Rage Blade. Half the health bar on this Baron. It's only going to go down faster as well. Teleport's going to come in as now Khan. He's just playing Gatekeeper. Kuro, that's an optimistic wall, but no one's going to get hit by the seismic shove. Is the steal going to come in? No, it's not. A Spirit is miles away, and the smite is true from Peanut. As Kuro, he's going to cop some briefcases, but Kingzone, they're just going to go back and prepare what they're going to do with this 3 minutes of Baron.
Super clean Baron setup. Kingzone knew where Spirit was. They started DPSing him, and he had no ability to get into the pit. They stopped DPSing it when they saw Spirit walk up. Spirit left. So did the Baron hopes for the side of Afreeca. Very clean by Kingzone, playing exactly where they need to.
Oh, hey, Gorilla.
Gorilla rocks up. Kingzone in a huge lead, and Kingzone bringing Afreeca back to the standard League of Legends has been really big for them.
We'll have to see whether Afreeca is going to be able to turn it all on its head in game number 2, but so far in game number 1, Kingzone are in complete control. Infernal Drake as well to augment their double mountains that they've already picked up. I mean, feeling like the Dragon RNG is working out very, very well for Kingzone at the moment if they do decide to go for it, and Peanut is going to start chomping into the big red guy. Ray going to help out with the damage. So where are they going to go with the Baron? Khan pushing out the top wave. See whether it's going to be 1-4 or 1-3-1. And it looks like the 1-4 option is going to be here as the inner turret in the mid lane looks to be the next one to fall.
Grouping with Zoe Varus is always the right choice. So 4-1 certainly makes a lot of sense.
I feel like talking about sieging is something that we haven't got to do for quite a while, as this is a composition that certainly knows how to do so.
Varus and Zoe have not been together much. That was
trouble,
just a trouble
bobbies,
bubble.
my friend, as now BDD looking for more. Ooh, flashing forward.
He tried to actually find anything to reposition it there. Would definitely have killed the Spirit, but doesn't get it. Ray stacks up the Rage Blade, getting a lot of damage on this inner turret.
Another one. BDD's got a homing beacon for a lot of these trouble bubbles.
Meanwhile at Mundo.
He's on the phone. He's letting his minions do it. He's delegated that particular task. Well, from Mundo, sometimes you just got to know how to delegate as well as doing things yourself, you know? So he's a good businessman. Gonna get in there and smack that thing down with his cleaver, though, as now inhibitor turret on the top side of the map will be under fire as Prey. He's got a charged up Rage Blade, throws a few bullets in there as the... Yeah, you better use that supercharger aiming because these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles are no joke.
And so cleanly played by Kingzone. Very reminiscent of a spring game, not the summer crazy meta.
And if you were one of the people that predicted Afreeca to take this, you'd completely be well within your rights. It's now Spirit. He's going to try and start this fight. Kingzone, can they actually find it as PDD gets his way out? Gorilla as well is going to survive, and the Kai'Sa is dead. It's a disaster. Stopwatch is going to be used, but Keen will die afterwards. He does finish the Varus, which does put a slowdown on Kingzone a lot, but that is a full health Mundo still running towards this inhibitor turret.
Kai'Sa got in the back line, she couldn't get the kills. This is not the Kai'Sa from yesterday. It's a one held in check much, much more. Kingzone going to take everything around the base. Khan tanks up the top lane turret. Tanking turrets has been his game this entire summer season. I mean, 2 inhibitors to Kingzone.
Yep, and it was a 1 for 2, so not necessarily a landslide for Kingzone there, but they kill the right players, and they are going to be able to take 2 inhibitors from it as well. 15 seconds of Baron means empowered recalls come in, and that was a Locket of the Iron Solari built outright for Khan on the top side. As we have a look at it again.
Usually when you play this Kai'Sa build, you don't actually go for the dive. It's not a Hurricane build when you go AP, but he ends up just almost killing Gorilla and then going into full health Prey. With the Jax, there wasn't necessarily as much damage on the side of Kingzone. If they hadn't snowballed, no Baron buff, maybe the play works. And that current scenario, with the game state as it is, ends up being a one-way trip. And now Varus says, you know what? I can have the gap closed on me. I'll get a Guardian Angel.
Yeah, and I believe he built that from nothing as well, as they had a lot of money in their back pockets. Locket of the Iron Slayer, remember, scales off health as well, so Khan is going to be definitely very helpful for healing up his whole team for a short period of time.
He just didn't need any more items. You know, he had 3 items, and why not go for utility? If you're tanky enough, there's no 1 damage item for Mundo. The revert came on the items that could have been built in the future. The other bruiser items are removed that we're going to come in on 8-12, but Mundo doesn't need damage items. He just buys a utility. Could have got Locket of the Iron Solari, but went for the team-wide AoE in this case, and Mundo walks up. Don't even need minion waves. It's better for Mundo to preserve the minion health. And speaking of minion health, the Banner of Command rolls up.
Yep, that's going to be what Gorilla finished when he went back to base as well. BDD's got a really sweet hat, and I'm really worried about anyone getting hit by anything as there's the trouble bubble.
Okay.
Sorry, there's the paddle star, lands onto Tucson. Shen's normally a tank, guys. That one certainly isn't, as BDD's going to miss that one. Thank goodness for Afreeca fans, but this is going to be all the inhibitors going down. Prey, C just playing so far up because he's not too worried. He's got Devour as well as the Guardian Angel available, and now Kingzone just moving forward. They'll have so much pressure with the minions that are pressing in. So many super minions going to be cascading into this base from Afreeca. They are being locked down.
Waiting for the minion waves to come together, and then the siege continues. There's no answer to siege for Afreeca. Even the all-in is so unlikely to work. Weaver's Wall, this goes to the next, not gonna matter. Kind of just waiting for a one-shot.
Yep, Trouble Bubble's going to land as there's the Hextech ultimatum. Afreeca Freecs looking to try and find their last team fight of the game, the last ditch effort, but look at their health bars. They're just melting. BDD so far away, but he's still able to kill the Talia. Peanut gets one back as well as Tucson wants to at least taunt some people in there, but that's Gorilla able to save him. BDD with the stopwatch, perfect timing, and see you later, Nexus. We're going to game number 2. Kingzone, one up in the series.
Plain as you like from Kingzone, the turning point, oh so clear when Spirit had kept a 2-level lead over the enemy jungler. Went full Battle Warden, said, you're not even going to get your Raptors. BDD used his Flash and Ignite to get a great snipe, a second snipe we didn't even think could happen. Happened later at the enemy blue, but the game was largely won by the successful collapse from Kingzone mid lane and Kingzone jungle. Nicely done from Kingzone. They controlled the game well from there. The draft exposed from Afreeca. Not a bad draft when Camille and Talia work as they should. When Camille and Talia are losing 2v2 to a Trundle and a Zoe, that's where the problems really became very apparent the side of Afreeca.
Yeah, and if you sort of turned up a little bit late to this series and you're like, oh, this is the Kingzone of old. We're seeing, you know, they're taking on Afreeca again and it's a 3-1 final situation, things like that. You're exactly right, bringing up that very early first blood, because I feel like it was all downhill from there for the Afreeca Freecs. And now what they need to address is making sure they don't make mistakes in the early game and playing clean Afreeca League of Legends once again, and we will be able to get to that 3 game.
And let's see how Afreeca do when they're 1-0 down in a series where they're finally forced to draft Marksman. They roll the dice on Spirit and Kuro being able to get them over a hump. It doesn't work. Is there a plan B? Is there another 8-11 special on the side of Afreeca Freecs as we start to reach the end days of patch 8.11.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the difficulties came in with the fact that, you know, Tucson was not on that hyper playmaker that can get things done early on as well. I mean, the Shen can be good.
But think of the other game where Camille still had a level lead and then Shen just packed up and amplified how strong the Camille was with the ganks. Camille became a passenger. And, yep, you needed to be off that train if you were Afreeca. Being a passenger when you were the Camille was only going to lead to a loss for the side of Afreeca.
Yep, the snowball certainly got rolling in Kingzone DragonX. We're getting glimpses of the terrifying team from spring season. But now it is a best-of-3 series. They will need to stay on that train, stay on the tracks, see whether they can close it out 2-0, guys. A short break, and then we'll find out.